I think I messed up, not in a dramatic way, not like a big explosion or betrayal or anything like that. Just quietly. I think I was too available. And the crazy part is, I didn't even realize it while it was happening. Because when you are in it, you just feel like you're just being a good person. You're replying fast, you're picking up calls, you're saying, yeah, I can make it. You're adjusting your schedule like it's nothing. You tell yourself, it's fine, I will just rest later, Like, yeah, I'll just rest later. I'll do my thing another day. Nah, it's not a big deal. But when you zoom out, you realize you've been shrinking your life to make space for everyone else's. I was always reachable, like always. Morning, night, middle of the day, doesn't matter what I was doing. It didn't matter how tired I was. If someone needed something, I felt this internal pressure to respond. Not because they ask aggressively, but because I trained myself to be that person. The reliable one, the he will understand one. And that sounds good, right? But here's the uncomfortable truth no one talks about. When you're always available, people stop checking if it costs you anything. They don't ask, is it a good time? They don't say only if you are free. They just assume. And assumptions are dangerous because assumptions slowly turns into expectations and expectations slowly turns into entitlement. I remember canceling my own plans, not once, not twice, like regularly. Plans I was actually excited about, plans I made for myself. And I'd cancel them for people who, if roles were reversed, wouldn't even consider doing same. Not because they're evil, not because they're bad people, but because I never taught them that my time had weight. I made it look light, disposable, flexible, like it could always be bent. And eventually, people stopped respecting something I never protected. That part hurts to admit. Because we like to blame others, we like to say they took advantage of me, but the truth is more uncomfortable. I made it easy. I answered all calls, I responded immediately, instantly. I showed up even when I didn't want to. And I never said, hey, this is costing me something. So, why would they assume it was? I used to think being available means being loved. Like, if I'm there for people, they'll show me love. If I'm there for people, they'll value me. If I show up, they'll choose me. If I give enough, I'll matter. That mindset is dangerous because it turns relationship into transactions and you don't even notice you're doing it. You're just hoping being needed will turn into being appreciated. But being needed and being valued are not the same thing. That realization hit me hard. Especially the first time I said no, I remember it clearly. Nothing dramatic, just a simple no. No explanation, no apology, just no. And the reaction? Distance, tone change, energy shift, less effort. That's when it clicked. They didn't miss me. They missed my availability. They missed the version of me that was always on standby. The version that made things easier for them. And that realization, that one sits heavy. Because you start replaying everything. Every time you overextended, every time you showed up exhausted, and you realize you weren't being selfless. You were being scared. Scared of being forgotten. Scared of being replaced. Scared that if you weren't useful, you wouldn't matter. That's a hard thing to admit loud because nobody wants to see themselves that way. But honesty forces growth. I also realized something else. When you're always available, people don't experience your absence. And absence is important. Absence creates reflection. Absence creates appreciation. It creates space for people to realize what you bring. If you're always there, there's nothing to miss. You become a background noise, not intentionally, not maliciously, just familiar. And familiarity without boundaries kills value. That's not bitterness. That's human psychology. Even I do it. Think about it. The things that are rare, the things that are limited, the things that require intention, we treat them differently. But I treated myself like unlimited access. 24/7, no restrictions, no costs. And then I wondered why people handled me casually. Another uncomfortable truth, some people only stay as long as you make their life easier. The moment it requires effort, the moment it requires patience, the moment it requires compromise, they fade. And that doesn't mean you are unlovable. It means the relationship was built on convenience, not connection. That's painful, but it's also clarifying because it forces you to ask better questions. Who respects my time even when I say no? Who stays consistent when I'm not overgiving? Who values me and not just what I provide? Those answers don't come when you're always available. They only show up when you pull back. Pulling back feels scary. It feels like you're risking everything, like you're going to lose people, like you're being selfish. But here's the thing nobody tells us: you don't lose real people by setting boundaries, you lose dependents, you lose users, you lose people who were never planning to meet you halfway. And yes, it hurts because loss always hurts, even if it's necessary. I had to sit with that. Sit with the silence, sit with the fewer messages, sit with less demands. And instead of panicking, I asked myself, why does this feel uncomfortable? And the answer was simple: because I tied my worth to how available I was, not to who I am, not how I show up authentically, but to how accessible I made myself. That's exhausting and unsustainable. So now I move differently. I don't reply instantly just to prove something. I don't explain every no. And yes, some people drifted, but others stepped up. The relationships that remained, they feel better. They feel lighter, more balanced, and more respectful. I'm not bitter for being too available. I'm just aware now. Aware that generosity without boundaries itself neglects. Aware that accessibility is not the same as value. Aware that if someone only values you when you're always there, they never valued you. So yeah, I was too available and I think it killed my value. But learning that is what helped me rebuild it.